All right, so getting back to our project with the Georgia Tree Council and the Forestry Commission. This was our study area, and obviously on the left you can see the track of Hurricane Michael. We all know it was a Category 5 hurricane when it made landfall in the Florida Panhandle. We actually had a similar project in with the Florida Forest Service. So some of the examples I'm going to show are from that project. The damage was much worse in Florida and just kind of shocking. So it's some really interesting visuals. It was a little bit harder to actually see the losses in Georgia, even though we did find there was a substantial loss that occurred between 2017 and 2019. But you can see in pink our study area there. And if you can click again, Jacob, we'll zoom into the specific cities that we studied. So these are all in Southwest Georgia. And next slide. So again, this is an example from Florida. I think it's in the Panama City area, but you can see on the left right here, this is pre-storm conditions. And as we slide the map over, you can see very evidently how much damage there was. Some of I can't remember the exact numbers, but the damage was really pretty bad along the coast from about Panama City down to Apalachicola. But this is these screenshots we're showing here are from a story map that we created, and we did create one for Georgia as well. So the link to that is on the bottom here, and I'm sure we'll share that or get that out somehow if you want to explore. But so our methods, you can see the land cover data that we created on the right using some aerial imagery. And if you're technical at all, the imagery we use is from the Department of Agriculture with their NAPE program, the National Agriculture Imagery Program. And you can see the level of detail in the data on the right, where the dark green are trees, the light green are open space or grass, and anything gray is most likely an impervious surface. And next slide, thanks. So the major thing we did here is we calculated what the pre-storm tree canopy cover was. We then compared it to post-storm. So the years that were available to us happened to work out well, where it was the year before the hurricane and the year after, so 2017 and 2019. And for every city in our study area, we calculated the canopy cover throughout the whole city and then compared it between the 2 years. And this map right here is also from our story map, and you can see kind of the change in tree canopy that happened between the 2 years. So most of the cities are in kind of a brown or tan color, which means they had a loss or kind of a very small loss. Some of them may even be no change, but we did find that the greatest damage did occur the further southwest you went, and that's what we expected to find, knowing that the hurricane speeds kind of decreased as the hurricane moved north. All right, and here's a graphic we put together that shows that tree canopy change on an individual city basis. And this is the way the scale works. Is the green numbers is pre-storm, so that would be 2017. So if we look at Donaldsonville, they had about 25% tree canopy in 2017, and then in 2019 they went down to about 22%, so that represents about a 3% loss. That was either caused by Hurricane Michael, or obviously there's other factors that contribute to losses in tree canopy, but we were really just kind of looking at what that total was, not necessarily saying this was directly caused by the hurricane. So if you look across all of our cities that we studied, we found, and it's still on the previous slide, but we found about 1,300 football fields of tree canopy were lost. So obviously it's a pretty big area. It was about a little over 200 square miles in our study area. But if you think about it, as far as football fields, it's 1,300 is a pretty large number. We found about 2% of the tree canopy that existed before the storm was lost between those 2 years, and that represents about 1,800 acres of tree canopy. And the biggest losses that we found occurred in Baconton, that had a 7% loss, as well as Bainbridge and Blakely, they had a 6% decrease as well. You will see there are a few cities in here that actually had gains in canopy cover. Most of these were more towards the northeast of our study area, and a lot of them were actually because of growth in timber products, so trees being grown for timber. So they were smaller trees in 2017, small enough that they didn't get picked up in the classification. And in 2019, they had grown enough that we considered them, that we were able to see they were trees. And just another quick snapshot of that data. And on the left, you can see citywide what the canopy change was. So again, Bainbridge, Blakely, and Baconton had the greatest losses, and then other areas like Tifton and Wigham actually had some gains. And again, on the top right, this is a little snapshot of our story map where you can actually go to each of these cities, and on the right there's the 2017 and 2019 map where you can slide back and forth and see the conditions there. And you can also click on our data on the left, where you can actually see the 2 years of tree canopy data. So we also, we obviously know trees provide all kinds of benefits. That's why we're here, right? So using some tools from iTree, we were able to calculate the ecosystem service benefits that trees in the cities provided, both before the storm and after the storm. I won't go into detail on all the numbers, but the biggest one in the top right shows that we found there was over a $13 million loss in annual savings because of the trees that were lost during those years. So pretty significant change. So yeah, my next slides will really talk about kind of what is possible going forward. We know, the hurricane came through, it caused a lot of damage. Conditions are very different now than they were prior to the storm. So this graph shows not only the canopy cover within cities in the dark green, but also how much available planting space there is. If you look in the light green, they're the kind of bright green colors. So obviously these are very important to our clients, knowing not only how much plantable space there is, but actually locating where those are throughout cities. You can see most cities, I think, I forget what the average was, but it's about 20 to 30% plantable space. So it's a decent amount, and you can definitely see some cities have more than others. And we'll go further into what is possible with these data. But first off, we did also create a kind of a summary report that wraps up all of these cities into one report, and we provided those to the Tree Council and to the state. So they'll be, I think their plan is to, use the data and really start to engage the affected communities and help them, improve living conditions by planting new trees and working with those communities. So we have one comprehensive report, and if Jacob clicks again, we also created individual 2-page fact sheets for each community. So this is an example from the city of Albany, and you can get some kind of quick, stats from our study for each city. So we actually created, 22 of these fact sheets, and they're all they'll all be made available to each of the communities. All right, so getting close to the end of my piece here, but we did want to mention we've also, on top of the report, the fact sheets, and the story map that we created, we are also providing to the state an interactive web mapping application that we've specifically built for managing your tree canopy assessment data. So this is a view of our tree plotter canopy software. And if I wait a sec for it to go to the beginning, you'll see each of the 22 cities that we looked at are in this application. And it allows you can click on a city and view each city's tree canopy cover. And here's the beginning. So we'll dive into Bainbridge here. And so we've got 3 tools here. This is the view tool, and this allows you to look at tree canopy cover, possible planting areas, as well as where the tree canopy changed within a city and how much. And you can see it is interactive. You can use the slider bars to filter down the data however you want. And so this is showing plantable space. So you can see there's more plantable space on the southwest side of the city in those darker red colors. And wait for a sec. Oh, okay. Yep. And so the next tool is the plan tool. And so this really is where we start getting into what can we do with the data, where should we target new tree plantings. So you can see we've got a number of factors here on the left. So obviously, where are there areas with low existing tree canopy? Where do we have a lot of possible planting areas? So where is there a lot of open space to plant new trees in? You can also prioritize by how much tree canopy was lost. So if you wanted to plant in trees that lost a lot of canopy, you would toggle that UTC loss category. We did also look at a couple other demographic or socio-demographic factors, including, where do you have larger percentages of your population that are in minority groups or people of color. And we also did look at income levels, which is what that economic vitality is, so the average household income. And you can see we're showing this at the census block group level. And if you hover over each one of these, you can actually see the individual values that go into the ranking of each of these areas. So that's our plan tool, and we've got one more if we go to the next slide. And this is our grow tool, and this, so you can see I've kind of filtered out an area here that is an area I wanted to target for new tree plantings based on those other criteria I showed. So currently this area has 50% tree canopy. We can set a kind of a goal where we want to reach 55% tree canopy. And obviously this is hypothetical, but you can see in order to increase canopy by 5%, you would need to, and I missed that number, but yeah, you would need to plant about 5,000 trees throughout that area in order to reach that goal. We do recognize this is a somewhat basic tool, but it does at least give you somewhat of an estimate of what it will take to reach a goal, maybe to bring tree canopy cover back to pre-storm conditions. We do have more advanced tools that take into things like, natural regeneration and dieback and losses due to development. We have that as kind of a separate tool, but we are planning on building that into this tool. Just it might take a little bit, but at least there is this information for you right now. Next slide, please. And this is my last one, but I did just want to mention, not only can you see the amount of plantable area within a block group or throughout an entire city, but we have provided to the state this very detailed land cover data, and it does include where the plantable space is. So this screenshot here really shows you the amount of detail there is, and just how much use you'll be able to get out of the data in order to plan your planting projects. So I think Jacob will take it here, and